exciting stuff. We're going to have a look at pulling out some bearings. I did pull one bearing out, which is out of the swing arm half, because I wasn't able to get exactly the right oil seals, and we just needed to make sure everything fitted, and that was grand, so we're okay. Now this is the first half of the final drive casing. The other half is the actual, it's the left hand swing arm, and it's the belt drive case. After a lot of investigation and pointing the finger at a lot of bearings, we seem to have found out that the actual really duff bearing was the one in the swing arm, which is logical because it's the one that it's exposed to the most shite. But I've got a full set of bearings. Here they are here. With a full set of, well, not quite a full set of bearings, oil seals, and, well, dust covers they call them in the Honda book. There's a couple of little roller bearings I don't have yet, and these are these wee puppies here, which support the intermediate shaft. They're on order, they should be in, and there's an extra couple of odd sized oil seals that are due to come in as well, one of which goes there, and the other goes on the other end of that, which is in the drive casing. So we'll I think the first thing we want to do is pull those seals out. That inner seal looks fine, but it ain't going to be when I'm finished with it. Big lever and a bit of perspex so as you don't ruin the face. Oh, you're tight. Right, so we'll have our first fight on our hands. Alright, okay. Now if you ask me, that's perfectly fine oil sealed stroke dust cover, but there we go, we've got new ones. And that bearing looks like. Can you see any play in it? Yeah, looks sound. Now, there we go. Keep remember to put that there because that's where you can see. Salt, that's salt from the road. Now, there we go, there's a bearing. Now, why is my press not doing what it's supposed to do? Maybe it is. Oh, there we go. La 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 la. Done. Ta-da! Right, so that is holding the bearing securely. Right, apologies for not getting any commentary on this bit, because I'm sort of working it out as I go along. Try and get that, well, it's there. So this is holding the bearing. I need to pull this way, but the collars I have will just be pulling the bearing against itself. So what I can do is I have some of this steel bar that we can put here, and then put my collar on top of that, and that should do it. The only thing is I don't want to damage the gasket face here, so I'm just going to protect that with a, let's see, now that is perfect. This is all mechanically working, but I'm just having a problem with things turning around. My thought is once the bearing actually starts to move, it'll become a lot easier. And either that casing cracked, the bearing's coming out. Woohoo! Well, my bearing extractor works. There you go. New favourite tool. Perfect. Another good bearing out. And just a wee scrape there, just where the bottom of the tool hit the bottom of the bearing casing, but look, lovely jubbly. Now, so what size nut are we there? Because there's a couple of different size nuts. That's not one. Right, so we need this spanner and our wee turny thing. Which way do we go now? Down, opens. funny feeling this bearing is maybe going to come out in bits. So that's very... Right, well look, we'll give it a go. What have we got to lose? Sorry, brain going. That's a 17. Oh ho! There we go. Jeez, this wee boy works well. You really do need to find a way to stop the whole thing twisting, but that seems to work there. And there we go, another bearing freed. Now what I have to do with this is a size bigger. The next size up, I actually had to just tighten it in the vise, which I'm going to do again to get this bearing out. There we go. I just needed to tighten these wee wings in to give it a bit more space. And there's the bearing. Oh, that's grungy. I'll do my microphone there. Okay, in order to save time, I've actually set all this up. It's pretty fiddly. Well, it wasn't too bad. Once I got this clamped up, it held everything in place. So hopefully I'll just be able to turn the doofer dangle and it'll extract. This one here is going to be the fun one. I don't know if you can see it, because this whole input shaft and the bearing has to be pushed out with a puller. Pushed out with a puller, that's an oxymoron, from the far side. So we'll see how that goes. And but basically at the moment, do you know, it would really help if I had the right size spanner, and I don't, so bear with. Talk amongst yourselves. La 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 la, yada yada yada. We're going to have to do this with a manual spanner. Now I think we're probably a 22, but we'll see, because I don't have a 22mm ratchet spanner. Okay, Ah, lovely. Right, that's turning, so we need to stop that. Oh, those bearing pullers are lovely. They're a super job. Thought that would happen. And there we go. Another little bearing out. Okay, here we go again. This is the final wee needle bearing, so let's see how we get on with it. And I can tell you immediately that the first thing that's happened is the race has come out of that. But as long as we've got enough to yeah, hold on. Loads of little bearings. There we go. Well, I can tell you what I'm not doing. I don't think I'm reusing that bearing. Well, it turned out a hammer and chisel got that out. Well, not a hammer and chisel. A hammer and a drift. Right, okay. So now we need to get that bearing out. If we get that bearing out, we'll call it a day. And we'll have to consider the needle bearing casing. Now, I don't know if you can see me here. Hello. Oh, tell you what. Hold on. You can see me there. what I'll do is I'll pull, there's a seal there which I'm not particularly worried about because I've got one. There's a bearing there which needs to come out, and then tomorrow, now that all the bearings are out except the shell of the needle bearing, is I'll give that a good heat up with a heat gun for a good half hour, which should maybe get it up to a couple hundred degrees, and I'm getting distracted by my gears. There we go. There's a wee scrape all the way around that, but it's tiny. Don't know if you can see it. Of course, I've got light behind me, which doesn't help. Let me come down a bit. Do you see around the centre of the gear here? There's a wee nick the whole way around, but it is just the tiniest nick, so it's not a bother at all. Right, okay. So that goes there. And we'll see what fits this bearing. And that'll be that, because that's my biggest one. Biggest. Yes, that's my biggest one. So that's this one. And the beauty about this one is I can really tighten it up. Okay. And that was somewhat more successful. So, when they work really well, but there just wasn't enough space to get on that. So, we're very nearly there. And there we go. That's the main input shaft bearing. Which I originally thought was iffy, but it's actually fine. But the price of a set of bearings wasn't dreadful, so I may as well. Now this puppy here needs pressed onto this. There. Oh, there we go. I need to put it on there. Sorry, you can't see that. There you are. This puppy here is now stuck. Yeah. Okay. So it needs pressed onto this shaft, and then pressed onto this shaft. Whee! I should really look at the screen and then I could see what you see. So that needs pressed onto there, and then that needs pressed back into that goes that way around to the housing. So apart from the other half of that needle, no, the other half of the needle bearing here, we're good to go. Very close to actually putting bearings back in. So I have to wait for these two needle bearings I have to order, and there's a couple of oil seals I'm waiting for on, but they should be here in the next day or so, and I've plenty to be going on with. I need to put all these bearings back in. I have all of these, so they all need to go back in, and that will take hopefully not too long. But what I'll do is you can see me over there. What I'll do is I'll use the heat gun on the housing in the swing arm, which is there. You can't see it. No, you can't see it. Let's see. Well, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Right. There. The other half of the needle bearing is in there. So I can heat this back bit up, and then I can heat the bit on the front as well, which you'll be able to see from the other camera. It's there. And then if I'm really lucky, the aluminium will expand enough that the sleeve will just pop out. Otherwise, we'll have to see what we can do, but we'll get there. We'll work it out. Right, chaps, that's it for this scene. You'll see my shenanigans trying to get that sleeve out, or that outer race out. I don't know what it's called, the outer bit of the bearing. Is that a race? Is the balls the race, or the needles the race? Shell? Haven't a clue. The bit that's stuck. There, that's it. So, cheerio for now. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Do you remember the little needle bearing that defeated me? Well, number one, I forgot to press record on a camera. Number two, there it is on the end of the extractor. And it turned out to be laughably easy. Now, let's see if I can persuade this to come off this extractor. This extractor is a cheap one, and it's at the very, very limit of its capability. There we go. Turns out that when I knock the needles out, there's a little tiny lip around the edge of the bearing. You can actually see it there. I move down so that you're actually a bit in focus. That normally holds the needles in, and I managed to pull the needles past that because I didn't have the extractor in that. what I was able to do was persuade the extractor to actually sit in that little groove, and lo and behold, it pulled the bearing out. So the expensive extractors I've just ordered off Amazon, probably going to go back. There you go. Sometimes it takes you to sleep on something, and then a new idea comes to you in the morning. Right, I have these last two wheel bearings to take out, and I want to try and heat the wheel up a bit because it's absolutely Baltic today, and the collar here that the bearing sits in is going to be very cold and very tight. So I have this turntable which I normally use for photogrammetry, for 3D scanning, and I can just put the wheel on that and just generally slowly heat the thing up with a heat gun, so I'm not just blind heat at the same place all the time. I need to be careful because I think these wheels are powder coated, and I really don't want to melt the powder, but hopefully this will take the chill off, and I'm trying not to heat the bearing, just heat the collar here, and we'll see if that does anything for us. I'll give it about a minute of this and then we'll see how it feels. La-di-da-di-da, talk amongst yourselves. This isn't going to be terribly exciting. Right, let's try that. Get the new bearing extracting tool. You ready? Ooh, shiny. Ooh, ooh. Right, we'll see how this works. Now that is much more positive than any time I've used the other tool. We're going to slide hammer eye view there. Now, let's see how this goes. Not yet. There we go. Right, this is actually bouncing the wheel off the turntable, so I'm going to lift it down to the floor. Ah. fuck? What a bastard. Who? That fucker put up some fight. Hopefully I can take a different strategy with the other side of the bearing and knock it through. Right. Okay. Now, that's the reason why I find it so difficult to get those bastards to fit. If we look in here now, you can see right down in there is the other bearing, and I think I can just knock it out with a drift. Tell you another thing, I'm never going to fit that rim into my hydraulic press, so they're going to have to be knocked back in again. But we'll deal with that when we come to it. So, let's see. It says it's very slightly big, but I'll soon batter into it. Seals out. Oh, the little bastards. I can't even see what I'm doing here, so I'm looking at the camera and I can't see it. But here are all those birds outside. That's it. Stuff going back on from now, so we'll start having fun. That's a wrap for this episode. This episode is huge. There's about 3 hours of video. It's going to take some cutting down, but you'll find out at the end. Have fun, cherubs. Look after yourselves, and knee down, not arse down.